Okay, so now we've got these two clusters. I'm sorry, we got the training data and the testing data, and we have these kind of clusters. Now what I want to do is isolate only cluster 6. I wrote cluster 7 here, but that's wrong. Cluster 6. So let's go back and do that. Um, so go back to here and open up the file that has the training data with the cluster in it, like this. Now it also has this instance number in it. I don't want that in there for my predictions. There's no good reason to have that. So first I'm going to just remove that. But I don't want to remove the cluster variable. What I want to do is remove all the records except for those that have cluster 6. So how do I do that? I have to use this filter. So let's try that. Choose here. Where is it again? It's unsupervised instances. Let's try that again. Unsupervised instances. I'm not working. I want to remove records, or I want to do something to the records, not to the variables. I actually want to remove the records, remove some of the records. So subset by expression is the one I'm going to use to do that. And I'm going to click here. And to get some idea of how to do this, you can read through here and actually go down to the examples, and it tells you that you use some format like this. So you can take a look at that, but you'll see how I do it with our data using, by the way, let's just, you can see that it's attribute 9 that I'm working on here. Okay, so let's go to here. Copy this instead of typing it. And here, so what is this? I want to filter everything except for this, but it's not 7, right? I want 6, cluster 6. So that's it. Oh, sorry, cluster 6. So attribute 9 should only be cluster 6. All the others are going to disappear. Maybe before I do that, let me just show you. Okay, so here if I click on the clusters, I can see the distribution of the clusters. So there were 189 in cluster, whatever it is, 1 or 0. I guess it's cluster 1. And there were 101 instances in cluster 2, and so on. Okay, now let's go back and do that again. Find that one. Where was it again? Instances, subset by expression. Click on that. Put this in there and make this 6. So I only want the records where attribute 9 here is cluster 6. So, let's try it and see if it works. Okay, going back and clicking on this cluster, you can see that I only have one cluster left, and I hope it's probably cluster 6. Yeah. Okay, so you can see it here, right? Okay, so now I've done that. So I've removed everything but except for the records that have cluster 6, that are in cluster 6. So let's save this. Did I give it any particular name? Now, before I do that, I also, I'm not going to use this. I just wanted to filter the records so that I only had cluster 6 variables there. I'm sorry, cluster 6 records there. But I don't want to use this cluster variable as part of my prediction. Now actually it might be interesting to do that, but I didn't think of it before, and I'm not sure if it makes sense or not. But anyway, I'm not going to use it. So I want to remove that now. So I can remove this, right? I've already filtered the records, So removing this is just going to remove the variable. So I can do that like that. And yeah, and I'm sure that when I do this again on the test set, I'm going to probably forget to do something. But anyway, let's go ahead and save this as added cluster. Then I remove the cluster. I guess I could say I added cluster, filter to only see cluster 6, and then I removed cluster variable finally. So I'll just give it that name. Right now I have to do the same thing, which I can't remember what I just did. I have to do the same thing again to the test data set. Let's try it again. Open that. The test added cluster. So I can see that I have these variables. This one I remember I just deleted that variable first because I'm not going to use that at all. And now what do I have to do? I want to do the same kind of filter up here, right? I think that's the next thing. So if I click on this, by the way, I can see over here the distribution of clusters. I can see that this is in the test set up here. In the test set, this one is very frequent. What is this? 900 records in cluster 4. How many records are in cluster 6? Only 46. So this is not so great. I'm only trying to predict 46 records. But anyway, that's the way it is. So, but I need to filter them because this contains all the records. I only want those which are in cluster 6. So I actually have this already written up here, fortunately, so I don't have to write it again. And I can just apply it and check. And I only have cluster 6 records now. And then I think all I did next was what? Remove this. And then save it. And let me just use the same kind of naming that I used before, which was what? Well, maybe I can see it when I save it. So what did I call that before? I'm going to call this test, but then what did I call it? Added cluster filter to C6 again, and then removed cluster variable. And this is the test set, hopefully. Is it the test set? Yeah, this was the test set. Okay, so now I have these two data sets, training and testing. Where are they? Let's do this. So testing and training. And what did we do again? We added the cluster. Then we filtered only, so we only got cluster 6. And then we removed the cluster variable. And we did the same thing to the test. Okay, so now we can take these two and use this to build a model and this to test the model. So that's easy. That's just neural network. Classification. So I want to open the, which one? This one, the training. Right? And go to classify. By the way, this is still nominal, fortunately. And go to classify and go to functions and multi-layer perceptron, neural network. And I want to use the supply test set here and up here and here and here and test this one, right? Second one. And open it and try it. That's all. This is what we're trying to predict, this variable here, right? Finish, and that's it. Not very good. It didn't work very well, actually. But I just wanted to show you this method. Actually, only 39% were classified correctly, as you can see here. 18 here, 0 here, 0 here, 28 here. So 28 were incorrectly classified, so it didn't work very well. And what I mean by it didn't work very well is actually, if you go back and just do it on the original data sets, it works much better, I believe. So I'm not sure why this isn't a great idea, but the filters and the use of these of the different the different cluster, the filtered cluster, I just wanted to show you that. But anyway, let's go back and check it for the original data, the whole data set, the whole training set, and the whole testing set. So here was the original one for the training. So let's open that. I'm going to show you that this didn't work very well. Go to classify, and for this supplied set, up here, I want the test, the whole set. That was this one, actually. My strange naming conventions. Okay, and click start. That's all I have to do, right? Yeah, click start. It's done. Oh, actually, it worked a little better. Oh, no, sorry, it didn't at all. 75% here was much worse. The other was much worse. You can see the confusion matrix. So this method, this strategy was not a good strategy. However, you get to see some of these features of Weka. Okay, I'm not sure that it wasn't a good strategy. I have to test it out on some other data to see whether it's better, or maybe test it on other clusters. Remember, I only tested it on cluster 6, so I could test it on some of the others as well, some of the other clusters as well. Okay, that's all.